You know how some people have sacred routines? Like yoga at dawn, Sunday football, or family dinner every Friday without fail? Mine is something simpler. Or at least I thought it was. 2 days a week. Just 2. Saturdays and Sundays. That's all I claimed. 2 days with no calls. No unannounced pop-ins. No, can you help me with this, or let's talk about nothing for 2 hours while I run errands on speakerphone. I made it a rule. Quietly. Firmly. For my peace. Apparently, that makes me the villain. Let me start with some context. I'm 29, living in Charlotte, North Carolina, working a pretty demanding job as a marketing analyst. Monday to Friday, I'm on emails, reports, meetings that could have been emails, Slack pings at 9:17 p.m. You get it. It's corporate life, caffeine-fueled, always on nonsense. By the time Friday night rolls around, my brain is soup. So about 6 months ago, I told myself, weekends are mine. I won't answer phone calls unless it's urgent. I won't go to family barbecues I never agreed to. I won't engage in small talk with my Aunt Carol about how my cousin Layla is doing so well because she married a dentist and owns matching Christmas pajamas. I just won't. And for a while, it was perfect. I didn't make an announcement or anything. I just stopped picking up the phone on weekends. If someone called, they'd get voicemail. If they texted, they'd get a reply Monday morning. My friends got the memo fast, they respect boundaries. My coworkers? Even better. They'd burn the place down before calling me on a Saturday. But my family? Oh no. Let me introduce the cast. Mom, Sharon, queen of just calling to say hi, which turns into 90 minutes of venting, unsolicited advice, and occasional guilt trips for not visiting more. Aunt Carol, self-declared matriarch since Grandma passed. Her hobbies include stirring the pot and comparing everyone's life to Layla's. Sister, Morgan, she's 25, single, and currently living at home. Calls me every weekend to talk but mostly to complain about Mom, Carol, her job, her ex, and that one barista who flirts with everyone except her. When I first stopped picking up, it was subtle. Saturday morning, 10:03 a.m. Mom, hey sweetie, just checking in. Call me when you get this. Voicemail. Ignored. Sunday afternoon, 1:17 p.m. Morgan, I swear if Mom tells me to apply for one more admin job I'm gonna lose it. Call me. Voicemail. Ignored. They didn't really notice at first. Or they did, but figured I was busy. But a few weekends in, the tone started shifting. Carol, your mother said you're avoiding her. Is everything okay, hon? Mom, I just don't know what's going on. You always used to call. Morgan, are you mad at me or something? Did I say something? Sharon again, you know, I read that when people isolate themselves, it can be a sign of emotional abuse. Yes. That's the leap. I must be in trouble. Being controlled. Or brainwashed. Because I didn't want to chat about crockpot recipes or my fertility window every single Saturday. It would have been funny if it wasn't so annoying. Then a speculation began. One Monday morning I opened Facebook, a mistake, and saw Carol had posted a quote graphic. When someone you love suddenly goes silent, don't assume they're okay. Check in. Abuse is quiet. Okay, Carol. That same week, Mom sent me a long-ass text about how if your boyfriend doesn't want you talking to your family, we'll support you no matter what. First of all, I'm not even dating anyone. Second, even if I were, what kind of partner would ban me from talking to Sharon and Carol? What am I, 14? At this point, it was spiraling. I didn't want to get into a whole argument. I didn't want to have the conversation. You know the one, where I try to explain boundaries and self-care and how wanting time alone doesn't mean I'm depressed or abused or turning goth or joining a cult. I wanted to keep my peace. So I didn't explain. I let them talk. Let them wonder. But then came the tipping point. It was Memorial Day weekend. I was sitting on my apartment balcony with a mimosa and my dog, Clyde, living my best life. I snapped a picture of the view, warm sunlight, Clyde flopped over with his tongue out, my glass in hand, and posted it to my Instagram story with a caption. Reminder, it's not your job to answer every call. Especially on your day off. Cue the meltdown. Within 2 hours. Mom texted me, wow. Message received. Carol commented a sad face emoji on one of my older posts. Morgan sent me 3 passive-aggressive memes about people who think they're too busy for family but not for brunch. But also, something unexpected happened. A girl I went to college with, Bree, DM'd me. OMG yes. I've started turning off my phone every Saturday. It's life-changing. Then another one. Wait, are we allowed to just not answer? Like legally? Then a coworker, Hannah, commented. You're my hero for this. I'm making it no-call weekend rule starting now. And just like that, a little seed of rebellion started to bloom. But my family wasn't done yet. Oh no. I hadn't heard the last of it. Because the next weekend, well, let's just say Carol decided to escalate. And that, friends, is when it stopped being passive-aggressive and became full-on dramatic. So, Carol escalated. I should have seen it coming. Carol doesn't know how to let anything go. She once stopped speaking to her neighbor because the woman didn't return a Tupperware container in a reasonable amount of time. It was 3 days. The Saturday after my Instagram story, I was in the middle of doing absolutely nothing, my weekend specialty, when the intercom in my apartment buzzed. I live in a secured building. No one just shows up. I was confused. I hadn't ordered food, wasn't expecting anyone. I checked the little screen. It was Carol. Standing in a full summer outfit, pearls, wedges, sunglasses on her head like a damn real housewife, holding what looked like a pie. Yes, a pie. I didn't buzz her in. Instead, I texted. Me, Carol? Why are you here? Carol, to see you. Your mom is worried sick. We all are. Just let me in, I brought lemon chiffon. Lemon chiffon. As if that was going to sweeten this stalker move. I didn't respond. I muted my phone, sat back on my couch, and let her stand there. After about 15 minutes, she buzzed again. And again. Then I heard her leave. I thought that would be it. It wasn't. That night, my mom called 6 times in a row. Then she left a voicemail that actually started with, I'm not mad, I'm just heartbroken. Then Carol emailed me. Who emails someone in 2025 when they don't answer a call? Subject line, this is an intervention, of love. The email was 3 paragraphs long. She said they were all genuinely afraid I was being controlled by an unseen force. She said they'd talked about taking further steps if I didn't reply soon, and no, she didn't clarify what that meant. She even included a quote from a relationship advice article about emotional isolation. It was bananas. But here's where it started turning from overbearing to absolutely unhinged. On Sunday, Morgan called, and when I didn't answer, obviously, she took to her Instagram and posted this. Sometimes the people you thought would always be there suddenly disappear and pretend it's self-care broken heart. Then tagged me. I kid you not. I was tagged in my own public shaming. I didn't respond. I didn't comment. I just muted her for 30 days and went on with my afternoon. But the next morning, Monday, I decided I'd had enough of the rumors. The speculation. The fake interventions. The insinuations that I was in danger, depressed, or being manipulated by some phantom man who doesn't even exist. So I posted again. Just a quick story, black background, white text. It's not about a guy. It's not about a breakdown. It's about me finally living my life without a dozen people narrating it for me. 2 days a week, I don't answer the phone. That's it. That's the whole scandal. I thought it was clear. I thought, okay. This will either shut them up or make them combust. Either way, I'm done. But it did something else. The reactions were bizarrely split. Carol immediately unfollowed me on Instagram and then sent my mom a screenshot of the post with the caption, "See? This is what narcissism looks like." Yes, Mom showed me the screenshot. Because of course she did. Mom texted me. Mom, you didn't have to say it like that. You make us sound toxic. Me, I didn't say anyone's name. You made it about you. Mom, well, it felt personal. Me, that's because it is. But also, it's not. Meanwhile, Morgan made another post, a quote this time. Boundaries aren't walls, unless you build them with spite. No tag this time. But subtweet level 100. But then something weird happened. On Tuesday, I got a DM from my cousin Sabrina, Carol's daughter. We haven't talked in maybe a year. She's quiet, introverted, always kind of stayed on the edges of family drama. Her message just said, "Hey. That post? I felt that." I wrote back, "Thanks." Thought it would end there. But no, she followed up. "I haven't answered a Sunday call from Mom in 3 weeks. You just gave me permission to keep going." That hit me in the chest. In a good way. Then a few days later, my coworker Devin, the chill IT guy who never talks unless your computer is on fire, slid into Slack with, "Hey, not to be weird, but that boundary post? Mad respect." I started doing silent Saturdays. Changed my life. Silent Saturdays. It was catching on. Even my friend Clara texted. "You seriously gave me the courage to tell my mom I need quiet weekends." She cried, of course, but she heard me. So now I'm out here unintentionally starting a boundary revolution, and Carol thinks I've joined a cult. But don't get too comfortable, because the drama wasn't done with me yet. You'd think that after 2 weekends of radio silence, 2 posts, and a literal doorstep rejection, they'd get the hint. But family doesn't always do hints. Sometimes they do surprise family dinners. The next Saturday, I got a dinner invite from my mom. Text said, "Just come by for a quick meal. No pressure. No drama. Promise." Morgan's making lasagna. Let me tell you something, Morgan doesn't cook. If she's making lasagna, someone's plotting something. I didn't respond. Then Sunday, I got a handwritten card in my mailbox. Not even kidding. Front, a watercolor image of a teacup. Inside, "We love you. We miss you. Please let us be part of your life again. We're trying to understand. Love. Mom, Carol, and Morgan." It was signed with little hearts next to each name. And you'd think I'd be touched. But all I could think was, they still don't get it. Because none of them actually asked why I needed space. They all just filled in the blanks with worst-case scenarios, victim stories, or martyr theatrics. None of them thought, hey, maybe she just wants time to herself. But Sabrina did. Devin did. Clara did. Hannah did. And slowly, I realized, this wasn't just about me anymore. I had accidentally said out loud what a lot of people were afraid to admit: we're allowed to not be available 24/7, even for family. And some people? That scared the hell out of them. So, after the surprise handwritten card, who even does that anymore, I did what any self-respecting boundary enforcer does. I put on noise-canceling headphones and watched The Bear for 6 straight hours. No calls. No guilt. But they weren't done. Because on Monday morning, I woke up to a group text. Not just any group text. A new one. Titled Family Support Chat Red Heart. Participants, me, Mom, Sharon, and Carol, Morgan, and, surprise, Uncle Todd. Todd is Carol's brother. He's the cool uncle in the sense that he wears graphic tees with wolves on them and once tried to sell CBD oil as a side hustle. He rarely gets involved unless something's spiraling. Apparently, in his mind, this was spiraling. The first message? Carol, we just want an honest conversation. We're not mad. We're worried. Then, Sharon, can we please schedule a time to all talk? Just 30 minutes. Then, Morgan, this isn't about blaming you. We just want to understand what's happening. I mean, it's been weeks. Then, Todd, I think what we have here is a classic communication breakdown. What we need is a Zoom. A Zoom. They wanted a family Zoom to talk about why I don't answer the phone on weekends. My blood pressure spiked and then immediately plummeted from sheer disbelief. I left the group chat on read. Later that day, Mom followed up in a separate text. "This is getting out of hand. If you don't want to talk to us, just say so." I did. I finally replied. "Me? I don't want to talk to anyone on weekends. That's the whole point. It's not personal. It's not punishment. It's peace." No response. 12 hours. Nothing. Then Morgan texted. "I don't know who you are anymore." Very dramatic. Oscar-worthy. But the next day? Another twist. I was getting groceries when I got a text from an unknown number. Unknown. "Hi. It's Jessica. I'm Morgan's coworker. Hope it's okay I got your number from her once when she borrowed your charger. I just wanted to say that I saw your post the other week, about the weekends, and it really hit home. I started turning off my phone on Sundays. It's been life-changing. Just wanted to say thank you." I stood there in the middle of Trader Joe's frozen aisle, holding a bag of orange chicken and blinking at my phone like it had just called me its hero. Then I smiled. Because this was the quiet ripple. I hadn't meant to start anything. But the people who needed to hear it heard it. Still, that didn't mean my family was letting go. Later that week, I got a Facebook event invite. Title: Summer Family Dinner, Saturday at 6 p.m., casual and fun. Location: Mom's house. Attendees: me, Morgan, Carol, Todd, Layla, yes, the golden cousin, and about 9 other people from our family circle. The description? No pressure, just food, love, and reconnection. And below that: we hope to see everyone there. Let's clear the air. Clear the air. They were staging an ambush disguised as pot roast. I didn't RSVP. I didn't respond. But I did get curious. So I called Sabrina. Yes, that's Sabrina, Carol's daughter, my cousin, the quiet one who had DM'd me weeks earlier. We hadn't talked on the phone in years. But when she picked up, it was instant camaraderie. Me, so. Did you get invited to the ambush dinner? Sabrina laughs. Oh, absolutely. My mom is calling it an opportunity for healing. Me, you going? Sabrina, only if you go. Me, I wasn't planning on it. Sabrina, good. Then I'll have a migraine. That made me laugh for the first time in days. Sabrina, it turns out, had been quietly setting her own boundaries too, not answering texts after 7 p.m., skipping calls she didn't want to take, turning her phone on airplane mode just to exist without commentary. Sabrina, honestly? Watching you hold your ground has been kind of badass. Me, I feel like I'm being excommunicated from the kingdom. Sabrina, then screw the kingdom. Let's build a hut somewhere else. That line stuck with me, let's build a hut. Because that's what it felt like, stepping outside the family palace of obligation, guilt, and endless phone chains, and building something smaller, quieter, saner. Anyway. Saturday night came. I stayed home. Ordered Thai. Watched true crime until midnight. Meanwhile, I got a flood of texts, 1 from Todd, 1 from Mom, and 3 from Carol, all variations of "We missed you. It wasn't the same without you." Everyone was asking where you were. Even Layla said it was weird you weren't there. First of all, Layla barely knows my middle name. Second, I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little. I felt calm. But the next morning? I got the wildest message yet. Carol texted me a link. No explanation. Just a link. It was to a self-help podcast episode titled, How to Reach a Family Member Who's Pushing You Away. This woman really sent me a podcast. Passive aggression, but make it digital. So I texted Sabrina. Me, your mom sent me a podcast intervention. Sabrina, she sent me a PDF titled The Price of Solitude. We should make t-shirts. I almost choked on my coffee. But here's the part one didn't expect. Sabrina and I kept talking. We started texting every day. Not heavy stuff, just life, memes, the weirdness of being the quiet ones in a family that thrives on noise. We were like survivors of the same cult, comparing notes in the rubble. She even sent me a photo one Sunday of her on her couch with a book and a caption that said, "Silent Sunday. No Carol Zone." I replied with a selfie of me in bed with Clyde and said, "Weekend wall up. Unauthorized calls will be launched into space." It became our little thing. A quiet resistance. Meanwhile, the rest of the family? Still simmering. I heard through the grapevine, okay, Morgan's not-so-subtle Instagram story, that Carol was talking about planning a real intervention, soon. Her words. Because clearly, she's isolating herself and pulling Sabrina into it. So now I'm not just the black sheep. I'm the cult leader. And honestly? I think I'm okay with that. I thought we had peaked at podcast links and dinner interventions. I was wrong. Because this is the part where Carol went full CIA. The week after the summer family dinner, things had gone mostly quiet, which should have been my first red flag. Carol being silent is like a tornado politely holding its breath. Then Thursday afternoon, I was on my lunch break scrolling Instagram and saw a notification. Tagged in at Layla_bakes it better. Yes, Layla. Cousin Golden Girl. She had posted one of her classic, aesthetically perfect baking photos, a lemon tart framed by sunflowers and a distressed wood table. Caption. Lemon tart and family healing talks, yellow heart, grateful to be a part of something meaningful today. Below that? Carol commented. Such a powerful conversation. Hoping it reaches the right ears. My ears burned. I wasn't invited. I wasn't even informed. But clearly, the cult tribunal had convened again, and this time, Layla was on the propaganda team. Then Sabrina texted me. Sabrina. So, you're not gonna like this. But Mom asked Layla to talk to some of your friends. About you. I stared at the screen. Me? What does that mean? Sabrina. She thinks your silence is about more than just space. She said she was going to find out what's really going on. I heard her on the phone yesterday asking for your friend Clara's number. Let me explain something. Clara and I have been friends since freshman year of college. She's ride or die. She also, unfortunately, used to follow Carol on Facebook, a mistake we have since corrected. So I called Clara. She picked up sounding like she was mid-grocery trip. Clara, oh my God, I was literally about to call you. Guess who tried to DM me on Facebook? Me, no. Clara, yes. Me, what did she say? Clara, she said, and I quote, "Hi Clara, I'm Opie's aunt. We're a little concerned and trying to make sure she's okay. Would love to chat if you have a few minutes." I wanted to throw my phone into the sun. Clara didn't reply. Instead, she screenshot it and sent it to me. I stared at it in disbelief for 5 full minutes. They were trying to investigate me. I didn't answer their calls, so now they were trying to gather intel from my friends like I was a missing person or a rogue agent. I took a breath. Then another. Then I posted to Instagram again. White background. Black text. If you're worried about me, ask me. If you're mad at my boundaries, say that. But don't go around me like I'm incapable of speaking for myself. It's not concern. It's control. 10 minutes later, Carol called. I let it ring. Then Mom called. Then Morgan. Then Todd. Voicemails came in like a wave. Mom, I don't know why you're putting this online instead of just talking to us. Carol, this is getting so dramatic. No one is trying to control you, we're trying to help. Morgan, you're making this bigger than it is. Just call us. But the one that got me? Layla. She texted. I know you're upset. But Aunt Carol was genuinely trying to understand. It's not fair to paint her like a villain when she just cares. I stared at that message for a while. Because here's the thing. They always make it about intentions. She meant well. She's just worried. She's trying. But intent doesn't undo impact. Carol contacting my friends? That wasn't care. That was a boundary violation. That was a manipulative power play dressed up in lemon chiffon and teacups. I didn't reply to Layla. Instead, I finally did what I probably should have done a month ago. I sent a group message to Mom, Carol, and Morgan. No emojis. No explanations. Just this. I've asked for space. I've set clear boundaries. You have repeatedly ignored them, crossed them, and disrespected me in the name of concern. This ends now. No more texts, calls, or messages to my friends. If I decide to reach out, I will. Until then, leave me alone. Sent. Read. Silence. It was the loudest quiet I've ever heard. 3 hours passed. Then 4. Then I got a single message, from Carol. Carol. Wow. You've really changed. I stared at it. Laughed once, sharp and humorless. Then locked my phone. Because yeah, I had changed. I'd finally stopped being the default daughter/niece/therapist/family tech support. I'd stopped being available just because they were bored. I'd stopped performing good girl just to keep the peace. I had changed. But I wasn't done. Because a week later, something happened that forced me to draw the final line, in front of everyone. I got invited to a baby shower for Layla. Yep. Layla's pregnant. With twins. Of course. I almost didn't go. But then part of me wanted to see them. Not for closure. But for something else. For clarity. What happened at that baby shower? Well, let's just say Carol thought I'd keep staying silent. She was wrong. I wasn't going to go to Layla's baby shower. I really wasn't. I told myself I'd skip it. That I didn't owe anyone anything. That I wasn't going to sit around playing baby bingo while Carol side-eyes me from behind a cake stand. But curiosity, like Carol, can be persistent. And part of me, a small, quietly burning part, wanted to be there. Not for Layla. Not for the fake hugs and Target registry gifts. I wanted to see them with clear eyes. No pretending. No smiling through discomfort. Just me, showing up on my own terms. So I RSVP'd yes. Brought a gift off the registry, diaper warmer, because I'm still civilized, wore a soft blue sundress, and told myself, 1 hour. Then I'm out. The baby shower was at Carol's house, of course. The holy cathedral of curated normalcy. There were mason jars filled with pastel candies, bunting that read 2 peas in a pod, and a mimosa bar run by Layla's friend from Pilates. Everyone smelled like essential oils and expensive lotions. I walked in and was immediately hugged by Morgan. Morgan, hey. Wow. You look rested. Me, thanks. I am. She laughed like I'd told a joke. I hadn't. Mom came next, quick hug, tepid smile. Sharon, so glad you made it. You've been quiet. Me, by design. Carol was across the room, talking to a cluster of guests, laughing that loud, controlled laugh she does when she wants everyone to know she's unfazed and in charge. Then she saw me. Her smile tightened by 0.5 millimeter. Carol, look who decided to join the land of the living. Me, hi, Carol. Carol, we were starting to wonder if you'd moved to a remote cabin and thrown your phone in a lake. Me, tempting. I brushed past her, grabbed a mimosa, and sat next to Sabrina, who looked like she was trying to disappear into her cardigan. Sabrina, you're brave. Me, I'm caffeinated and slightly hungover. That's not bravery. That's recklessness. We laughed. For a second, it almost felt normal. Then the game started. Baby trivia. Guess the size of the belly ribbon contest. Make a diaper out of toilet paper chaos. I stayed on the edges. Nodded politely. Ate a mini quiche. Watched the clock. Then it happened. Carol stood in the middle of the room, holding a cake knife in one hand and a champagne flute in the other. She tapped the glass. Carol, before we do cake, I just want to say a few words. I tensed. Carol, Layla, you are the light of this family. Your joy, your strength, your openness, you bring us together. Applause. Smiles. Layla blushing. Carol, continued, and I think events like this remind us how important connection is. Especially when some people, family, have forgotten that. The room shifted. Eyes darted. A few people smiled awkwardly. Some sipped their drinks with aggressive interest. Carol, but I believe in second chances. In healing. In family being there for each other even when things get difficult. So I just want to say, to certain people in this room. Her eyes locked onto mine. Carol, we still love you. We just hope you'll come back to us. I set my mimosa down. The silence in the room was sharp. I stood up. I didn't go anywhere. You just stopped listening. Carol blinked. The room froze like a badly paused video. Continued, I asked for space. You turned it into a crisis. I asked for boundaries. You treated it like betrayal. I needed 2 days a week to not be a daughter or niece or emotional support hotline, and somehow that became your narrative. Carol, we were worried. No, you were offended. She flinched. A few people gasped. Morgan stood up like she might try to intervene, but I kept going. You didn't reach out because you were scared. You reached out because I wasn't playing the role anymore. And when that didn't work, you went to my friends. Carol, that's not fair. No, what's not fair is trying to spin this moment, this party, into a subtle takedown. If you wanted a family therapy session, you should have scheduled one. Not hijacked Layla's baby shower. I turned to Layla. Congratulations, by the way. Sorry this became about anything else. Layla looked stunned. A little embarrassed. But she nodded. Layla, thanks. I appreciate that. Then I looked at Mom. I'm not asking you to understand. But I'm asking you to stop pretending your discomfort is my responsibility. Then I looked at Carol one more time. And if you really believe in second chances? Start by giving me one. Not the version of me you miss, the version that answered every call, came to every brunch, let you narrate her life. The one that exists now. The one that values silence. Silence. Real, unbroken, heavy silence. Then Sabrina stood up. Sabrina, amen. A single voice. But loud in the right way. I grabbed my bag and walked out. No screaming. No storming. Just exit. Later that night, I got a text from Todd. Wasn't the time or place. But, damn. You said what needed to be said. Then Morgan texted. I'm still mad. But I heard you. Then, finally, Mom. I don't know how to respond. But I'm trying. Carol? Nothing. And that was fine. Because I hadn't done it for her. I'd done it for me. And for every person in that room who'd ever been told that silence is selfish. That distance is a problem to be solved. That autonomy is rudeness. The truth is, I'm not disappearing. I'm not rebelling. I'm just building a life that includes quiet. And some people? They're finally learning to adjust their volume. You think the baby shower showdown would have been the end? That the family would take the hint? That Carol, after being called out in front of her lemon tart kingdom, would retreat for once and stew in silence? You'd be wrong. Because Carol doesn't retreat. She reorganizes. The week after the shower, things got eerily quiet. No texts. No missed calls. No group messages or vague quote graphics on Instagram. It was like someone had unplugged the whole family network and rebooted it in safe mode. Even Mom didn't reach out, and that woman once texted me during a root canal. I wasn't sure what to make of it. Part of me was relieved. Part of me was suspicious. Carol doesn't take public embarrassment well, and I had just delivered it with a mimosa in hand. I was waiting for the retaliation. It came on a Tuesday. I got a call from Human Resources. Let me say that again, slower. I got A call from HR. I work at a mid-size marketing firm, corporate enough to have procedures, casual enough to ignore them half the time. HR is usually asleep at the wheel unless someone microwaves fish or gets handsy at the holiday party. But that day, I got a quick check-in request. I went into the Zoom meeting thinking it was a benefits reminder or some new compliance training. It wasn't. The HR rep, a woman named Debbie who I'd never spoken to, was polite but clearly uncomfortable. Debbie, so, we received a call from someone claiming to be concerned about your well-being. Me, what? Debbie, they didn't give a last name. Just said they were your aunt. They were vague, but implied you may be under stress or dealing with outside influence. Me, outside influence? Debbie, they said a boyfriend was isolating you. Or that you'd possibly been in some kind of emotional crisis. They didn't give details. Just that someone should check in on you. I blinked. I stared. I clenched my jaw so tight I thought a tooth might crack. Me, I don't have a boyfriend. I have boundaries. That's it. Debbie, I figured. Your manager also said there's been no change in performance. We're not concerned. But I did want you to be aware. We don't give out any personal information, obviously. But, it's not appropriate for someone to call here about that. No, Debbie. It's not. I ended the call. Sat in stunned silence for a full 5 minutes. Then I texted Sabrina. Me. Carol called my job. Sabrina. What? Me. HR said she implied I'm in an abusive relationship. That someone should check on me. Sabrina. This is beyond. You need to say something. Like, public. I agreed. But I waited 2 days. I needed to not post out of rage. I needed my voice calm, sharp, deliberate. Then I did it. I posted on Facebook and Instagram, a long, open letter. No names. Just clarity. Caption. Some of you have watched from the sidelines. Some of you have been part of it. Here's what's happening. Post. I set a boundary, I don't answer personal calls on weekends. That's it. I communicated it quietly. Consistently. And I stuck to it. In return, I've had people spread rumors, speculate about my mental health, contact my friends, tag me in passive-aggressive posts, and now, unbelievably, call my employer. This isn't care. This isn't love. This is control dressed up in concern. If you are uncomfortable with someone else's peace, the problem is not the peace. I'm not disappearing. I'm not in crisis. I'm not under anyone's control. I'm just no longer available for roles I didn't audition for. If you're reading this and feeling defensive, ask yourself. Why does someone else's boundary feel like a threat? It was the digital equivalent of slamming the door without raising my voice. And the response? Explosive. Likes, DMs, shares, dozens from people I barely knew. Old coworkers. A girl I took a yoga class with in 2019. 2 of my college professors. This hit me in the chest. Are you in my family group chat or what? Thank you for this. I didn't even realize how much I needed it. Sabrina shared it with her caption. Cousin said what I've been whispering for years. Even Devin from IT at work, yes, Silent Saturdays Devin, emailed me. I showed this to my sister. She cried. But from my family? Nothing. For a whole week. Then came the group text, again. Carol created a new one. New name. Family Restoration thread folded hands. Message. We all make mistakes. But airing things like that on social media? That hurt. We're still family. I didn't reply. Then Morgan jumped in. You could have just said it to us. I did, Morgan. Repeatedly. You just didn't like the answer. Then, surprisingly, Todd responded. Honestly? I don't blame her. We fumbled this. Hard. Silence. Then, finally, Mom. I want to talk. Just you and me. Not a group chat. Not Carol. When you're ready. It took a while, but I replied. Not on a weekend. And not right now. She heart-reacted the message. That was new. But the biggest surprise? Layla. Golden Girl herself. She DM'd me. A voice memo. Layla, voice message. I've been thinking a lot. And I need to apologize. I stood behind Carol because it was easier than questioning her. But, watching how far she went. That wasn't okay. I wouldn't want someone calling my job. And honestly? I admire how you've handled it. If you ever want to grab coffee, no drama, no judgment, I'd really like that. I didn't expect that. And I haven't responded yet. Not because I'm holding a grudge. But because for the first time in months, I get to choose who I engage with. I get to move at my own pace, not at the speed of someone else's meltdown. The family hasn't imploded. But it's definitely shifted. Carol? She's still spinning. But her power is cracking. Sabrina? She's louder now. Bolder. She started Do Not Disturb Wednesdays. We joke that we're expanding. Even Mom is backing off, slightly. I don't know where it'll go from here. But I know this. The silence I claimed? It wasn't emptiness. It was space. And in that space, I built something better than constant contact. A life that's mine. It took 3 weeks for Mom to follow up after I told her, not on a weekend. And not right now. To her credit, she waited. She didn't double text. Didn't send an inspirational quote or guilt emoji. She didn't pull a Carol. Then, out of nowhere on a Tuesday afternoon, I got this text. Would Wednesday work? I'll come to you. Just coffee. No fanfare. No pressure. I said yes. She showed up at my apartment exactly at 4 p.m. alone, no pie, no agenda printed on pastel paper. She looked nervous, standing at my door in her ballet flats, clutching a tote bag like it might shield her. Me, hi. Sharon, Mom, hi. I let her in. We sat at my tiny kitchen table. I poured us coffee, and she stared into her cup like it had something important to say. Mom, I don't know how to start. Me, start where you're at. She breathed deep. Mom, you're not wrong. About any of it. I blinked. Not what I expected. Mom, continued, you've always been the available one. The one we called, leaned on, expected things from. And we never really asked if that was okay. We just did it. She sipped. Her hand shook a little. Mom, when you stopped playing that role, it scared us. Me. Carol. Everyone. But instead of respecting the change, we panicked. We convinced ourselves you were in danger instead of just different. Me, Carol called my job. Mom, I know. I told her not to. She didn't listen. Me, she never does. Mom, no. She really doesn't. For the first time in this entire saga, I saw something crack behind her eyes. Something tired. Something I hadn't seen since I was a kid, when she used to sit on the edge of her bed, rubbing her temples while Carol talked over her at every holiday dinner. Mom, Carol's always been the loud one. The fixer. The voice of the family. But she doesn't fix, she controls. And I let her. I joined her sometimes. I used her as a buffer to avoid my own guilt about not being what you needed. That hit hard. Me, I didn't need anything except space. That's the whole thing. Not therapy. Not a rescue. Just quiet. She nodded. Mom, I'm not good with quiet. That's mine to work on. We sat there for a while. No arguing. No fake reconciliation moment with swelling music. Just two women, one generation apart, realizing the old scripts were outdated. Then Mom said something I didn't expect. Mom, I think you scared her. Me, Carol? Mom, yeah. You did something she couldn't control. You didn't flinch. You didn't explain. You didn't let her manipulate you back into the fold. That terrifies her. Me, good. She laughed, a short, stunned sound. Mom, I'm trying. I really am. I can't undo how we handled it. But I can do better now. I'd like to try again, not to get you back in the group chat. Just to get to know you now. I didn't cry. But my throat tightened. Me, okay. Just don't call me on weekends. Mom, smiling deal. We didn't solve everything. But we finally stepped out of the performance and into something real. I wish that was the end. But you know it's not. Because while Mom softened, Carol doubled down. A few days later, Sabrina sent me a screenshot. Carol had posted a public reflection on Facebook. Sometimes people lash out when they're hurting. Sometimes they push away the ones who love them most. It's not always personal. But it can be painful. All we can do is pray and keep our hearts open. I wasn't named. But I didn't have to be. The comments were full of "so true," and "you're such a light, Carol, 2 hearts, and they'll come around eventually." It was her last move, the public martyrdom play. If she couldn't control me, she'd try to control the narrative. I didn't respond. But Sabrina did. She commented. Sometimes boundaries aren't lashing out. Sometimes they're survival. Just a thought. I nearly stood up and cheered in my apartment. Carol deleted the comment. But it was too late. Because now other people were watching. Layla sent me another DM that night. I used to think Carol was just intense. But now I think she's addicted to being the center of every story. You've made me rethink a lot. Even Todd texted. Didn't realize how much of the family's drama runs through Carol until now. She's been calling me daily. I'm exhausted. It was unraveling. Slowly. Quietly. But the power she once held, the unquestioned influence, was cracking. And for the first time, I wasn't the one holding the thread. They were all starting to see it for themselves. The final blow came a week later. Carol sent me an email. Subject line. One last attempt. It read. I know you think I've been controlling. But I only ever wanted the best for you. I thought you were being led astray. I thought you were pulling away from family. I thought something, or someone, had changed you. But now I see. You changed yourself. And you don't want me in your life anymore. I can't accept that, but I respect it. I won't contact you again. But I'll be here, if you ever come to your senses. There it was. Not an apology. Not really. More like a velvet-gloved door slam. I read it 3 times. Then archived it. Not deleted. Just shelved. Like an old script I'd already outgrown. Because here's the truth. Carol thought she was the author of this story. But she wasn't. She was just one character in it. And I had finally taken back the pen. It's been 3 months since Carol sent her one last attempt email. She really hasn't contacted me since. No surprise phone calls. No group texts. No emotional riddles posted to Facebook. Just silence. And for the first time in my life, that silence doesn't feel like a threat. It feels like freedom. Things didn't explode. There wasn't a big family blow-up or some dramatic exile. It was quieter than that. Like a long, slow drift away from a frequency I don't tune into anymore. But here's what did happen. Mom and I talk. Once a week. Sometimes every other. Always on weeknights. Never weekends. Sometimes it's 5 minutes about work or groceries. Sometimes it's an hour where she tells me what she's been reading or asks how Clyde is doing. She still stumbles sometimes, like when she tries to bring up how Carol's doing with a loaded tone, but then she catches herself. One night she said, Sharon, I didn't realize how loud the family always was. Until it got quiet. Me, loud isn't the same as close. She nodded. We left it at that. Morgan and I are tentative. Our relationship is on cautious ground. She never really apologized. But she did start texting me memes again. Nothing too deep. Nothing about Carol. I let her come back in sideways. That's her way. Last week she sent me a TikTok of a girl hiding in the bathroom during Sunday dinner. Captioned, "Me avoiding emotional labor at all costs." It made me laugh. I replied with a peace sign emoji. We're not healed, but we're not frozen either. Sabrina and I? We're solid. We meet for coffee every other weekend. We joke that we're the co-founders of a new religion, Church of the Unavailable. We light candles to silence and drink cold brew like communion. She set even more boundaries now, moved out of Carol's house, got her own studio apartment. The first thing she hung on the wall was a framed print that says, "Silence is not a void. It's a declaration." She told me, "Sabrina, watching you stand your ground gave me permission to even imagine it was possible." That might be the best thing anyone's ever said to me. And as for Carol? I haven't heard from her directly. But I do see the occasional trace, her comments on Layla's baking posts, her birthday tribute to the strong women in this family who never turn their backs. She's still trying to control the story. But the audience has shrunk. Even Todd unsubscribed, apparently. He texted me recently. Carol invited me to a new Healing Circle chat. I declined and went fishing. The old family orbit is broken. Or maybe just reconfigured. Smaller, more honest. As for me? I still don't answer CA. It's a hard rule now. Not up for debate. Not open to interpretation. Sometimes I don't even speak on Saturdays. I do what I want, sleep late, walk Clyde, read, ignore the noise. Sometimes I sit on the floor with music playing and no phone in sight. Just quiet. Not running from anything. Not hiding. Just being. And sometimes, not often, but sometimes, I get messages from people I barely know. Strangers, coworkers, old classmates. I saw your post. I set my first boundary with my mom. I turned off my phone this weekend and didn't feel guilty for once. It spreads. Not like wildfire. Like water. Slow. Quiet. Essential. I didn't set out to make a movement. I just wanted 2 days a week to be. And somehow, in that, I carved out a path for people like me, people who were always the answerers, the fixers, the emotionally available default settings. Now? We let the phone ring. We decide what we let in. We remember that love without respect isn't really love. That concern without consent is surveillance. That silence isn't absence. It's presence, chosen and sacred. And if that makes me the villain in someone's version of the story, so be it. I'm not living in someone else's narrative anymore. I'm writing my own. And sometimes, I leave weekends blank. Because that's where I breathe. That's where I live.